I lost control and slept with our pool boy, but completely forgot about the security cams. Now, hello Reddit. This is probably the dumbest thing I've ever done in my entire life, and I honestly have no idea how to fix it. I can't believe I'm even typing this out, but here goes nothing. I really need some advice because I'm at a loss and I'm scared out of my mind. My name is Olivia and my husband's name is Noah. We've been married for about 4 years. I'm 29 and Noah is 30. Things have always been pretty good between us. Sure, we're not perfect, but who is, right? We've had our ups and downs like any other couple, but we've always managed to work through things. Overall, I'd say our relationship has been great. We've got a solid foundation, we trust each other, and we've built a pretty nice life together. We don't fight a lot, and when we do, it's usually about small stuff, nothing major. But then, I made a huge mistake, something I never thought I'd do, and now I'm terrified that I've ruined everything. Noah is a romantic at heart and has always done his best to make me happy. We met in college, and I'll be honest, at first I was in it for the money. Noah comes from a very wealthy family, and I was at a point in my life where I thought marrying someone financially secure would be the solution to all my problems. But as we started dating, I realized it wasn't just about the money. Noah treated me like I was the most important person in his life. He was kind, thoughtful, and always went out of his way to make me feel loved. That's when I made up my mind to stick with him for the long run. I figured if I had someone who not only had money but treated me well, I'd hit the jackpot. In the beginning, everything felt perfect. I had it all: stability, love, and security. I thought that would be enough to keep me happy forever. Noah would bring me flowers just because, plan elaborate date nights, and even take time off work to surprise me with weekend getaways. He never stopped trying to show me how much he cared. I always felt guilty that I couldn't reciprocate that same level of effort. Don't get me wrong, I loved him, still do, but something inside me started to shift. Noah has always tried to keep me happy, and I know he loves me deeply. He works hard, takes care of everything, and never makes me feel like I need to lift a finger. I'm a stay-at-home wife while he's out providing for us, and things have always been great on the surface. But the truth is, I've been, bored. I thought having this comfortable life would make everything better, but over time, I started feeling like a caged bird. Everything was so predictable, so routine. Wake up, kiss Noah goodbye as he goes off to work, maybe go to lunch with friends, come home, and wait for him to return. Every day blurred into the next, and I began craving something more. I didn't realize at the time how much of a role that boredom was playing in my decision-making. And then there was the other side of things, the part no one really talks about but ends up being so important in a marriage: the bedroom. Noah and I are so different when it comes to that. He's a gentle, calm lover, always cautious and afraid of hurting me, which is sweet, but it's not what I crave. I've always had a wilder side, and I like things rough and crazy. Noah can't give me that, and I've never been fully satisfied with our sex life. We've talked about it before, but nothing really changes. He's just not wired that way. It's like he has this mental block about letting go, as if he's afraid of scaring me off if he goes too far. I appreciate how much he cares about me, but I can't deny that I've been unfulfilled for a long time. I didn't think it would bother me this much at first, but after 4 years of being married and not getting what I need, I started feeling restless. I didn't want to hurt him by pushing the issue, so I tried to brush it off, telling myself I could live without it. But deep down, it was eating away at me. I started feeling frustrated and resentful without even realizing it. I found myself daydreaming about scenarios I never would have before, dangerous, crazy fantasies that had nothing to do with the man I married. That's when things started to unravel, I guess. The restlessness, the feeling of being trapped in this perfect little bubble, and the unmet desires I kept pushing down all came to a head. I don't know how I let it get this far, but I did, and now I'm regretting it. It wasn't like I was actively looking to cheat. I didn't wake up one day thinking, today's the day I ruined my marriage. It just happened. Or maybe that's what I tell myself to justify it. I don't know. All I know is that the moment I let myself cross that line, everything changed. That feeling of being stuck began to creep into every part of my life, and I found myself resenting Noah for it. I knew deep down that it wasn't really his fault that I was unsatisfied, but it didn't stop me from blaming him anyway. It was like this dark cloud had settled over me, and I could no longer see the sunshine. I'd find myself getting angry at him over the smallest things that, on any other day, wouldn't have bothered me. He'd leave his socks on the floor, forget to take out the trash, or take too long to reply to a text, and I'd feel a wave of frustration wash over me. All I could think about was how trapped I felt, how confined to this perfect life that no longer felt perfect at all. The resentment grew, especially when I remembered that I didn't really have a choice in the matter. Noah's parents had never liked me from the start. They saw me as nothing more than a gold digger, and they made sure to protect their son. They made me sign that prenup before we got married. They had ensured that if I ever left, I would get absolutely nothing. They'd said it was to protect Noah's future, but it was clear they were more focused on protecting their family's wealth from someone they didn't trust. And I guess, in a way, they weren't wrong. I had married Noah, in part, because of his money, so the prenup was like a shackle, locking me into this life whether I wanted to be here or not. So I couldn't leave Noah. Even if I wanted to walk away, I knew I couldn't afford to. Why would I give up an easy meal ticket when I had no other plan, no career, no financial security of my own? The thought of starting over with nothing made me feel nauseous. I would have been left with nothing, and I wasn't willing to do that to myself. Plus, even though I was bored and unsatisfied, Noah treated me well. He was kind, loving, and stable. It wasn't enough to make me truly happy, but it was enough to keep me from walking away. So I sucked it up and stayed. I forced myself to go through the motions, pretending like everything was fine, even though I felt like I was slowly suffocating inside. But the resentment didn't go away. In fact, it got worse. Every time Noah came home from work and asked me how my day was, I'd smile and tell him it was fine, all the while thinking about how unfulfilled I felt. I could see the genuine care in his eyes, and that only made it harder. Every time he tried to make an effort to be romantic or thoughtful, I'd just feel this weight of disappointment because it wasn't enough. He'd surprise me with flowers or cook dinner, and I'd force a smile, feeling guilty that I wasn't able to appreciate the effort as much as I should. I felt trapped, like I was living a life I didn't want but couldn't escape from. And that's when things really started to go downhill. I continued to resent Noah, and that resentment began to twist my perspective on everything, even things I never would have thought twice about before. The more I felt cornered, the more I started to look for an escape, however misguided that escape might be. That's when I started noticing our pool boy. He'd been working for us for a couple of years now, and up until recently, I barely even registered him as more than just the guy who came to clean the pool. Sure, he was good-looking, with a lean, toned body and a charming smile that lit up his face whenever he saw me. He was in his early 20s, young enough to feel fresh in a way that was different from my life, but it never crossed my mind to think of him in any other way, at least not until everything started to change. I was frustrated, bored, and feeling completely stuck in my marriage. Noah wasn't giving me what I needed emotionally or physically, and I guess I was looking for a distraction, something to make me feel alive again. The pool boy started showing up in my mind more often. I don't know when it began exactly, but one day I caught myself really looking at him, really looking at him. He's fit, with that kind of effortless charm that comes from being outdoors all the time, sun-kissed skin, messy hair, and a smile that could brighten the dullest day. Suddenly, I couldn't ignore it anymore. At first, it was harmless, or at least that's what I told myself. I'd flirt with him a little, just some playful teasing, something to amuse myself and pass the time. I'd compliment him on how well he was doing his job, or mention how the pool looked especially inviting today. It wasn't anything serious, or so I thought. I didn't mean for it to go any further. It was just fun, a way to escape the monotony of my daily life. Noah was always at work, and I was home alone most of the time with nothing to do, so flirting with the pool boy became a game for me, a way to inject some excitement into my routine. It started small, compliments, little jokes here and there, nothing too heavy, but I began to notice how he responded. He would smile a bit longer, his eyes sparkling as he laughed at my jokes. Sometimes he'd lean against the pool deck, wiping his hands on a towel while we chatted, his body relaxed and open. I'd find myself looking forward to the days when he would come by, almost counting down the hours until I could see him again. The anticipation was exciting, like waiting for the opening night of a movie I'd been dying to see. It felt like I was rediscovering a part of myself that I had long buried under the weight of everyday life. The more I flirted, the more I realized how much I enjoyed the attention. I had missed feeling wanted. It wasn't that Noah was ignoring me. He was always loving and trying to make me happy. He'd bring me coffee in bed on weekends, leave sweet notes on the fridge, and plan romantic dinners. But it wasn't the right kind of attention. He wasn't giving me the kind of craziness I craved. The pool boy, on the other hand, gave me that excitement without even trying. Each smile, each playful jab, sent little butterflies fluttering in my stomach. I knew it was wrong, but I couldn't help myself. The flirting became more frequent, more suggestive. I'd wear my cutest outfits on pool days, even if I was just lounging around the house. I'd fix my hair and put on some makeup, just in case he noticed. It was ridiculous, but it felt good to feel attractive again. I started to wonder if maybe, just maybe, he was noticing me too. Did he feel that same spark? Did he ever think about me outside of our brief encounters? These thoughts spiraled in my head, and they fueled my infatuation. The line between harmless fun and something more serious started to blur, and I didn't even see it happening. It was like I was on autopilot, just letting myself get swept up in this little fantasy, because it was easier than dealing with the reality of my marriage. I convinced myself that it was just a bit of harmless fun, that it didn't mean anything. After all, it was just flirting, right? I was just having a little fun, something to lighten my mood and break the cycle of boredom. The more I engaged with him, the more I found myself daydreaming about what it would be like to cross that line. What if I let myself go, even if just for a moment? I would try and push those thoughts aside. I would remind myself of the consequences, but they kept creeping back in, more tempting each time. I will depicture the pool boy's smile, the way his eyes lit up when he saw me, and I would feel a warmth spreading through me. I hadn't felt that way in a long time. Of course, I felt guilty whenever I'd look at Noah, and my heart would sink. I could see the love in his eyes, and I knew how much he cared for me, but that only made it worse. I felt like I was betraying not just him, but myself. I kept on telling myself it was just a crush, that it was harmless. I kept flirting with the pool boy. It was this ongoing game between us, something that filled the gaps in my life that Noah wasn't filling. He enjoyed it too. Every time he came over, we'd exchange teasing comments, subtle glances, and I'd feel a little spark of excitement that I wasn't getting anywhere else. At first, it was just for fun, a way to distract myself from the boredom and frustration. I told myself it was harmless. I never thought I'd actually take it any further, though. I mean, it was just some innocent flirting, right? But that morning, something shifted. I don't know what came over me, but I lost control. As usual, I was feeling restless, bored, and just off, like I needed something to shake me out of this rut. And then the pool boy showed up, ready to do his usual cleaning. We started talking like always, the banter getting a little flirty, nothing out of the ordinary for us. But this time the flirting felt different, heavier, more charged. It wasn't just teasing anymore. It felt like we were both testing the boundaries, seeing how far we could push things, and then it just happened. One moment, we were laughing by the pool, and the next, we were in the house, in my bed, making out like crazy. Before I knew it, we'd crossed a line I never thought I would. Everything moved so fast, and by the time I realized what I'd done, it was too late. We'd slept together. I immediately felt this wave of guilt crash over me. I couldn't believe I'd actually done it. But then, just as quickly, I started justifying it to myself. If Noah could just satisfy me the way I wanted, maybe I wouldn't have gone this far. If I didn't feel so unhappy and trapped, maybe this never would have happened. I convinced myself that it was Noah's fault, not mine. Afterward, I made up my mind to bury the whole thing. Pretend like it never happened, fire the pool boy as soon as I could, and move on with my life like nothing had changed. I figured I could just sweep it under the rug and go back to my normal routine. Sure, I felt guilty, but I was determined to forget about it. I thought that would be the end of it, that I could just walk away without any consequences. But of course, things never go that smoothly. A couple of days later, Noah casually mentioned something about checking the security cameras around the house. He said he saw something suspicious near the back gate and wanted to take a look at the footage to be sure. The second he said that, it hit me like a freight train. We have security cameras everywhere, around the pool, by the house entrance, even inside in some of the hallways. I had completely forgotten about them in the heat of the moment. The realization made me go cold all over. I started replaying everything in my mind, trying to remember exactly where we were, what angles the cameras might have caught, and if we'd been seen. I couldn't shake the dread that was creeping in. There's no way we weren't on those cameras. I've been obsessing over it ever since. I don't have access to the security footage, only Noah does. And now, I'm living in constant fear that he's going to check it, see everything, and my entire life is going to blow up in my face. What do I do now? How can I fix this? Is there any way I can make sure Noah never sees that footage? I have to figure out a way to deal with this before it ruins everything. I can't afford for him to find out, not with everything we've built, with the comfortable life I've gotten used to. But I don't even know where to start. Do I come clean before he finds out on his own? Or is there some way to make sure he never sees it? I'm terrified, and I feel like my world is about to come crashing down around me. Update. Hey Reddit. Well, it has been a while. To be honest, I was really ashamed to update on here because I really got bashed and criticized. A lot of people really let me have it. I didn't get a single piece of helpful advice. Instead, I got called every name in the book: gold digger, cheater. Some of you said I absolutely deserved it, that I was a horrible person and an asshole. I felt like I was being judged by strangers who didn't know the whole story. You all said you hoped that Noah would somehow find this post or check the security cameras. Well, you got your wish, so I hope you're happy. It feels like I jinxed myself by even posting on here. Why did I even do that? I didn't even get any helpful advice, and I essentially lost my marriage. Weeks back, Noah finally checked the security cameras, and he found out. I was home that day, of course, and coincidentally, the pool boy had just left a couple of minutes before. Noah was furious, absolutely furious. We got into what felt like the worst argument we've ever had since we got married. It was like I was begging for my life. I pleaded with him, telling him it was a one-time thing and that I lost control. I used every excuse under the sun to try to move him, but Noah wasn't interested in hearing any of it. I cried, but it honestly felt like it didn't do anything. He was done with me. He kicked me out of the house that day. Mind you, right in the middle of the day. He didn't even let me take the car. I had to call an Uber to my parents' house, and when I arrived, I completely broke down, sobbing like a child. My parents were shocked to see me in that state. They didn't pester me right away. They let me rest first. But after I had calmed down a bit, they finally asked what was wrong. When I told them, I could see the disappointment wash over their faces. They were really disappointed and shocked that I would cheat. They said I had ruined everything. Over the next few days, they didn't let up on me about how wrong I was for cheating. I honestly couldn't take it anymore. I was already wallowing in my self-pity and guilt. I didn't need anyone constantly reminding me of it. So I left and headed to my brother's place. I stayed there for a couple of days before going back to my parents' house. During that time, my parents set up a meeting with Noah at his house. When I finally returned home, we all headed over there. It was honestly such a heartbreaking conversation. Noah laid it all out for me. He was done. He told me nothing would ever make him forgive me for cheating. Not couples counseling, not therapy. Nothing would ever make him forgive or forget. He said he was finished with me, and he didn't want to be bothered. I broke down again in front of him, begging him to reconsider. I told him I'd do whatever it took, but he wasn't interested. I was just wasting my time. He said that he would never be able to forgive, and that we would just end up resenting each other if we tried. My parents had to essentially drag me out of there. They were so embarrassed. In the following days, my parents and brother went back to Noah's house to help me pack up the rest of my things. I didn't have a lot, but they were there for emotional support, which I definitely needed because I broke down again while we were there. I also found out that Noah had already replaced the pool boy. There was a new one claiming the pool when I arrived. Since that day, things have only gotten worse. Noah not only kicked me out, but he also cleared out our joint account. I couldn't believe it when I checked the balance. There was nothing left. Not a single penny. He'd wiped it clean. I felt like the ground had been pulled out from under me. I am essentially left broke and stranded, with no way to pay for anything. Since then, I've been stuck in a rut. I don't know what to do. I regret everything. I can't believe I lost control like that. It was supposed to be just a harmless crush. Why did I let it get that far? My life has honestly been horrible. Most of the time, I find myself over at my brother's place because I just can't stand my parents. They won't stop harping on and on about how I lost a good man. Sure, I know I lost a good man. I live with that guilt every day. I hate myself for it, but do you have to keep reminding me? I mean, aren't you supposed to be my parents? Help me. Honestly, it's so frustrating and so annoying. I know I messed up and I'm living with the consequences of my actions. I wish I could turn back time and make different choices. I never wanted it to come to this. I just wanted to feel alive again, and I thought I could handle it. Update. Hey Reddit, it's been a while since my last update, and I've been getting a ton of messages asking for one. Honestly, I didn't have much to share until today. Life's been chaotic, and I just didn't feel like there was anything worth writing about. But now? Well, I got served with divorce papers today, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. Seeing those papers made everything feel painfully real. This isn't some joke with a silly punchline. This is my life, and it's crumbling right in front of me. I always thought of divorce as something that happened to other people, not me. Now, I'm facing the fact that I'm about to lose everything I've built. My home, my stability, my meal ticket. The reality of my situation is sinking in, and it's terrifying. I've been trying to look for a job since all this started, and wow, I didn't realize how tough the job market was until now. I thought I'd find something relatively quickly, but it feels like a full-time job just applying for jobs. Every time I scroll through listings, I'm bombarded with minimum wage positions that make me want to scream. I know I should be grateful for any opportunity, but I can't help feeling defeated when I think about what I'm losing. I'm just so tired of the constant stress, the feeling of being trapped, and the overwhelming frustration of trying to figure out what's next. I've been going to bed every night with a million thoughts racing through my head, and I wake up feeling just as lost. I keep wondering how I let it get this far, and what my life will look like once this is all settled. It feels like I'm standing at the edge of a cliff, staring into the unknown, and I have no idea if I'm about to jump or just fall. I know I need to get my act together and find a way to support myself, but the weight of it all is suffocating. I can't shake the feeling that I'm in over my head. I've never had to navigate anything like this before, and it feels so isolating. I don't even know where to start. Update. Hey Reddit, it's been a while since my last update, and that's mainly because I've been incredibly busy. Life has been absolutely chaotic, like it's out to do its worst to me. I didn't have much to say before, but now, well, I finally have some updates to share, so let's get into it. First off, I finally got a job. It's minimum wage and doesn't pay much, but it's something. It helps me pay rent to my parents, which is just okay for now. It's definitely not ideal, but at least I'm contributing. I'll probably only be here for a couple more months, though, because my brother has been talking about me moving in with him. He thinks it'll be a better environment for me, and honestly, I agree. At least over there, I won't have someone constantly in my ear, reminding me of how I lost a good man, and how I'll never meet anyone like Noah again. Yeah, I get it. They're right. I know I messed up, but that doesn't mean I need to hear it every single day. It's exhausting. So, yeah, the divorce is finalized. It's officially over. We didn't have any debts or kids, so that part wasn't complicated. No shared assets either because we signed a prenup. So basically, I walked away with nothing. That's probably the hardest pill to swallow in all of this. 4 years of marriage and 9 years together, and I have nothing to show for it. No parting gifts, no thanks for your time, just nothing. I can't even be mad at Noah for it because, well, this is my fault. If I hadn't messed around, none of this would have happened. But still, it stings. Most days, I'm just trying to survive. There are mornings when I wake up feeling like absolute garbage, where I can't even stand the thought of getting out of bed. But I have to. Work is calling, and I need the money. It's such a stark difference from the life I used to have. I went from being a stay-at-home wife with free time to burn to now working a minimum wage job where I barely have time for myself. It's insane how fast life can flip on you. And the friendships? Let's just say it's been eye-opening. I used to think I had friends, people who were there for me no matter what. Turns out, Most of them were just Noah's friends or mutuals. Since the divorce, not a single one of them has reached out to check on me. Not one. I guess that shows where their loyalty lies. But you know what? Good riddance. They were never really my friends anyway. They were just people I had to be around for Noah's sake. Still, the silence hurts. Now I'm just trying to exist. Some days I hate myself. I hate that I destroyed everything. I hate that it's all my fault and that I can't undo it. And yeah, there are moments when I hate Noah too, because I wanted to fix things, but he wouldn't let me. And honestly, I even hate the damn pool guy for ruining my life, even though I know that blame is really on me. So that's where I'm at. I'm trying to keep my head above water, but some days it feels like I'm barely making it.